President Biden and Donald Trump held rallies in Georgia over the weekend ahead of tomorrow's pivotal state primary. The dueling events offered a glimpse of the November rematch as the candidates traded jabs. Our Weijia Jiang reports.
Get out the vote!
In Atlanta, President Biden warned democracy is at stake in this year's election.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are trying to take our freedoms away.
The Georgia event was part of a month-long campaign blitz that started in Pennsylvania on Friday. Today, the president heads to New Hampshire, then Wisconsin and Michigan later this week.
You're destroying our country, Joe.
In Rome, Georgia, on Saturday, 70 miles away from Biden's event, former President Donald Trump held his first campaign rally since Nikki Haley dropped out of the Republican primary, in a state where he faces criminal charges over allegations connected to trying to overturn the last presidential election.
They're trying to take us out, and it's not going to work.
Trump also blamed the Biden administration's immigration policies for the death of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. Police have charged an undocumented migrant with her murder.
When this monster showed up at our border, he was set free immediately.
Conservatives have made the case the face of border security, a top campaign issue that Biden addressed during his State of the Union speech.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right.
Initially, President Biden defended his use of the term an illegal to describe the suspected killer. But this weekend, amid criticism from some fellow Democrats, the president said he regretted it.
And I shouldn't have used illegal. I should have, it's undocumented.
The Biden campaign says that it raised $10 million in the 24 hours after the president's State of the Union address. And the campaign manager said that is a BFD, a big deal, which it is because they need that money. They're going to roll out a $30 million ad campaign over the next 6 weeks in battleground states. They're hiring hundreds of people, opening field offices, and they argue, guys, that that's the one thing their opponent does not have because Trump is cash poor, given all the money he is pouring into dealing with his legal issues.
Of course, of course, of course. So, Weijia, let me ask you a couple of questions. I want to talk a little bit about a State of the Union, you might say a flub or a misspeak, I don't know. But President Biden, during the State of the Union, used the term illegal when he was describing a man suspected of murdering Laken Riley. Some people within his own party got really upset. It's not illegal. It's undocumented. No people are illegal. We saw the tweets go out. And the president is sort of walking this back a bit.
Yeah, so right after the State of the Union, Nancy Pelosi appeared in an interview and she said that he should not have used that phrase. He should have said undocumented, and other Democrats joined him. But it's interesting because when the president was first asked about this, he said, well, technically he wasn't supposed to be here. But the point is, for many in his base, that diminishes the personhood of a migrant when you call them an illegal, which is why generally they do not use that phrase. It's something that you hear a lot from Republicans. And so under mounting pressure, the president in this interview over the weekend did concede that he shouldn't have said that. He said he regretted it and said that this person is an undocumented migrant, because that is the whole basis of the argument, right, of border security, is whether somebody has the right to come to the border and seek asylum instead of automatically being deemed an illegal because they don't have the paperwork.
Right. And let me ask you about something President Biden plans to unveil, I think, later on, his budget proposal for next year. What do we know about it so far?
Well, we know that it is very unlikely it will pass into law, which is the case for most presidential budgets. But you're right, he's expected to send it up to Congress at noon today. And it really highlights a lot of his priorities that we heard from the State of the Union. You can see here it focuses on lowering the cost of prescription drugs and child care, making life easier, he says, for the average American, boost manufacturing. And there are a lot of tax increase proposals for large corporations and billionaires and for individuals who make more than $400,000. So this really is the framework of everything he's been talking about and taking on the campaign trail, saying that he is trying to lessen the cost for people of living in this country. And he will argue that Republicans will try to do the opposite by giving the wealthy even more tax breaks, by trying to cut social programs. And so even though it's not likely this will pass in its current form, it's really critical for the president and for the campaign to reiterate what he hopes, what he aspires to with another term.
All right, Weijia, thank you.